The trail I had seen in my dream. The path climbed higher into the mountains, becoming steeper with every step. Loose stones shifted beneath my feet, threatening to send me tumbling down the rocky slope. More than once, I had to grab onto a nearby tree or rock to steady myself. Still, I pressed on. I had almost fallen here the first time I lived with the bears. The memory surfaced as clearly as if it had happened yesterday. Back then, I had been small, scared, and completely lost. The mother bear had saved me from this place countless times. Whenever I wandered too close to danger, she would guide me away or physically block my path. I paused for a moment and looked down the mountainside. A lump formed in my throat. She had loved me, not because I was a princess, not because I was important, not because she expected anything from me. She had loved me simply because I existed. A mother's love without conditions. A mother's love without expectations. Something I had spent my entire life searching for. She had died protecting her cubs, protecting her family, and if I was being honest with myself, she had always considered me one of them. I only hoped she hadn't died lying helpless on that cave floor. I hoped she had fought. I hoped she had made that boy regret every step he took into her home. I hoped she had gone down protecting what was hers, just like a true mother would. Taking a deep breath, I continued climbing. The path twisted around a rocky corner. That was when I saw something glinting in the sunlight. I stopped. A small object lay half hidden beneath a pile of loose stones. Curious, I bent down and picked it up. It was a locket. The metal was old and scratched, as if it had been exposed to the elements for years. I turned it over in my hands. There were no markings, no names, nothing to tell me who it belonged to. After a moment, I pressed the tiny latch. The locket clicked open. The sight inside made my breath catch. There was a picture. A woman I had never seen before stood beside a man I recognized immediately. My father. I stared at the image. I had only seen him a handful of times during my life. Most of my memories of him were faded and distant, but there was no mistaking his face. Father, I whispered. Then I looked back at the woman. Who is she? My fingers brushed across the picture. The moment my fingers brushed across the picture, the world vanished. A vision exploded into my mind. I saw war. Not an ordinary war. Entire planets burned. Creatures made of living shadows swarmed across world after world. Cities collapsed, mountains shattered, oceans boiled. One planet after another became black and lifeless. Nothing survived. Nothing remained. The destruction seemed endless. Tears filled my eyes as I watched countless worlds die. Then the vision shifted. I saw the woman from the picture. She walked through an underwater city unlike anything I had ever imagined. Her dress was made of living water. It flowed around her body as though it were alive, constantly, changing shape with every step she took. Yet she acted as though it was perfectly normal. She stopped and looked toward my father. "Are you sure you're ready to give this up?" she asked. My eyes widened. I knew that voice, the mysterious woman, the one from my dreams, the one who had been speaking to me all this time. "You know you won't see them again after our fight." My father nodded. There was sadness in his eyes, but there was also determination. "Don't let her mother control her," he said. "Look after Shara, my daughter, in my place." The woman nodded silently. Then the vision faded. the mountains returned. I stumbled backward, nearly dropping the locket. My mind raced. Why would my father ask that woman to watch over me? Why would he trust her? What had she promised him? And if she was the woman from my dreams, then maybe she was responsible for him disappearing. Maybe she had taken him away from me. Maybe she had stolen my family. My hands clenched into fists. I needed answers. I needed the truth, even if I had to drag it out of her myself. "If I find you," I muttered, "you better have a good explanation." Then her voice spoke again. "Your father didn't leave you." I spun around. No one was there. The mountains remained silent. "He left the life he was living behind," she continued. "The things he gave up for your mother, the sacrifices he made to keep you all safe, were dismissed as if they meant nothing." I gritted my teeth. "Stop hiding and face me!" My voice echoed through the mountains. No answer came, only silence. Still, her words lingered in my mind. What if she was right? What if Mother had forced him to choose? What if he hadn't abandoned me? What if he had been driven away? For the first time, doubt crept into my thoughts. I looked down at the picture again. Would I find him if I found her? Would I finally get my father back? I didn't know, but I had to find out. Eventually, I turned and headed back toward the cave. The bears would need food. Whatever mysteries surrounded my father and the woman could wait until tomorrow. Family came first. At least, that's what the mother bear had taught me. Once I reached safer ground, I gathered berries and fruit. By the time I returned, the younger bears had already hunted. Several dead forest animals lay in a small pile near the entrance. I smiled despite everything. They had survived on their own. The mother bear had taught them well. I placed the berries beside them and sat down to eat. After a while, I pulled out the locket again. The picture stared back at me. My father, the mysterious woman. Together. "You took him from me," I whispered. "I'll find you and make you pay." I looked toward the sky. The sun was beginning to set. Orange and blue painted the clouds overhead. I didn't know it then, but the answers I sought were far closer than I could have imagined. The woman spoke again. "Be smart, child. I'm not your enemy." I rolled my eyes. "Sure. Have you stopped to think about why I was the only one in that picture with him?" she asked. I frowned. The question bothered me. Still, my focus remained on the bears. Protecting them mattered more than solving mysteries. "Eventually," I answered, "that woman isn't my mother." I looked toward the two bears. My mother was killed yesterday. The words surprised even me, but they felt right. The mother bear had loved me, protected me, raised me. Queen Amber had never done any of those things. As I watched the sunset, I realized how good it felt to call the bear my mother. Not Queen Amber, not the woman who treated me like a tool, not the woman who cared more about appearances than family. The bear had never demanded anything from me. She had simply loved me. The realization hurt, but it also brought clarity. Maybe the mysterious woman was right. If Queen Amber hadn't always put herself first, maybe my father would still be here. Maybe everything would have been different. Then another memory surfaced, a memory from when I was very young. My father had knelt beside me one evening and smiled. "If all else fails," he had said, "head to the ocean. You'll find safety there, At the time, I hadn't understood. Now I wondered if it meant something more. The picture, the underwater city, the woman made of living water, the voice guiding me. None of it felt like a coincidence anymore. Was I chasing ghosts? A fairy tale? Or was I finally uncovering the truth? I looked toward the cave entrance. The two bears rested nearby. My family. The only family I had left. Could I leave them to search for answers? Could I become stronger and protect them? Or would searching for the truth only bring danger to them as well? I didn't know, but I knew one thing. I couldn't ignore the clues anymore. Sooner or later, I would have to pass through the city again. Sooner or later, I would have to continue this journey. Fear twisted in my stomach. Yet beneath it was determination. Maybe this was a test. Maybe it was meant to show whether I would back down when things became difficult. If that was true, I already knew my answer. I looked at the two bears sleeping peacefully inside the cave. My siblings, I whispered. A small smile crossed my face. Tomorrow, I would continue searching for the truth, for my father, and for the mysterious woman who seemed to know more about my life than I did.